What if I told you that the ancient Japanese discovered a method to eliminate all distractions from your mind in just 15 minutes a day? No apps, no complex techniques, just silence. Get ready, because what you're about to learn today can completely transform your ability to focus. We live in the age of endless distraction. Notifications, social media, multiple open tabs, messages arriving every second. Your brain is constantly being bombarded, and you know it. Productivity plummets, anxiety increases, and that feeling of always being busy but never productive becomes your reality. But more than 1,000 years ago, a Japanese poet named Izumi Shikibu already mastered the art of silencing internal noise. And today, you will discover exactly how to apply this ancient wisdom to your modern life. Who was Izumi Shikibu, and the context of Japanese silence? Imagine Japan in the year 1000, at the height of the Heian period, where a woman defied all social conventions through her words. Izumi Shikibu was not just a poet. She was a silent revolutionary who mastered the art of transforming moments of stillness into verses that would endure for millennia. While the imperial court teemed with intrigue and noise, she found her greatest ally in silence. Her poems were not born from agitation, but from those empty spaces between thoughts, where truth reveals itself without masks. She understood something that would take centuries for science to prove. Silence is not absence, it is intensified presence. Japanese culture has developed an entire philosophy around the concept of ma, the sacred space between things. It's not the emptiness left behind when something ends, but the intentional interval that gives meaning to what comes before and after. In architecture, music, calligraphy, even everyday conversations, the Japanese cultivate these intervals like Zen gardens. While the West fills every second with productivity and noise, Japanese tradition understands that mental clarity is born precisely in these unfilled spaces. Silence for them is where the mind reorganizes itself, where inner chaos finds its natural order. Izumi Shikibu practiced what we would now call contemplative immersion. She didn't meditate in the modern sense of the word. She simply allowed the silence to reveal the hidden layers of her consciousness. Her diaries describe long hours observing the moon, listening to the rain, feeling the weight of solitude without trying to escape it. It was in these moments that her greatest insights emerged, like fish rising to the surface of a tranquil lake. Silence was her working tool, her creative laboratory, her portal to dimensions of human experience that constant noise would never allow access. Now stop and think. Why are you so afraid of silence? Why, the moment you're alone, does your hand automatically reach for your phone, turn on the TV, put on a podcast, anything to fill the void? Our Western culture has built a real phobia of silence, as if it were a dangerous abyss that needs to be avoided at all costs. We wake up to shrill alarms, spend the day in noisy environments, and even to sleep many need ambient sounds. We've transformed silence into something uncomfortable, almost threatening, when in fact it should be our most precious refuge. The uncomfortable truth is this: in silence, you find yourself unfiltered, undistracted, without comforting narratives. It is there that the questions you avoid begin to echo, that repressed emotions demand expression, that the dissonance between who you are and who you pretend to be becomes impossible to ignore. So you fill your life with noise, not because you like it, but because silence demands a courage you're not yet sure you possess. Izumi Shikibu had that courage. And if she managed it 1,000 years ago, without all the technology you have, what prevents you from doing the same today? The principle of ma, between the space between things. There's a Japanese word that doesn't have an exact translation in Portuguese, but it can completely change how you live. Ma. It's not silence, it's not a pause, it's not emptiness. It's the conscious space between two things, full of potential and meaning. It's the interval between two musical notes that makes the melody meaningful, the white space in a painting that gives depth to the image. Japanese masters understand that ma is not what remains when something ends, but an active presence, a fertile field where genuine perception happens. Without ma, everything becomes continuous noise, an indistinct mass without form or purpose. Think about how you live your day, waking up, phone, coffee, work, meeting, lunch, more work, social media, dinner, Netflix, sleep. Everything seamlessly blended together, without a break, without space. You've transformed your life into an uninterrupted sequence of stimuli, where one activity invades another without ceremony. There's no middle ground between your actions, no sacred moment of transition where you process what just happened before diving into the next event. It's like watching a movie where all the scenes have been stitched together without cuts. Technically, you see everything, but you understand nothing because your brain hasn't had time to integrate the information. The MA is where intelligent decisions are born. When someone provokes you and you react instantly, there was no ma. It was pure reflex, pure animal impulse. When you receive a proposal and accept it immediately without thinking, you have eliminated the space where wisdom could arise. The difference between people who make wise decisions and people who spend their lives putting out fires lies precisely here, in the ability to create and inhabit these conscious intervals. The wise cultivate ma, the impulsive eliminate it. How many times have you sent that message in the heat of the moment and regretted it later? How many unnecessary purchases? How many broken promises? How many words you can't take back? All of them stem from the absence of ma, that space between impulse and action where conscience could have intervened. If you had given yourself just 30 seconds of conscious silence before acting, would you have made the same choice? Probably not. Most of our regrets are children of this unhealthy rush to eliminate all the pauses in life. Now imagine living differently. Before replying to that difficult email, you breathe and wait 5 minutes. Before accepting another commitment, you create a 24-hour space to feel if it truly aligns with you. Before reacting to criticism, you inhabit the silence for a few seconds and consciously choose how to respond. Your life wouldn't be slower. It would be infinitely more intentional, more aligned, more yours. The but doesn't slow you down. It saves you from wasting years in directions that were never truly yours. The practical technique, the 15 minutes of deliberate silence. Now let's get to what really matters. How you apply this in practice today without having to become a monk or travel to Japan. The technique is absurdly simple, and perhaps that's precisely why most people underestimate it and never really try it. First, choose a place where you won't be interrupted. It could be your bedroom, a corner of the living room, even the bathroom if it's the only space available. Sit comfortably. It could be in a chair, on the floor, on the bed. It doesn't matter, as long as your spine is reasonably straight and you won't fall asleep. Turn off your cell phone. Don't put it on silent. Turn it off completely, because you need to know that the next 15 minutes are non-negotiable. Here's the secret no one tells you. You won't try to empty your mind. You won't fight the thoughts. You won't repeat mantras. Your only task is to observe. Think of yourself as a curious scientist studying your own mind. You will simply witness what appears without judging, without trying to control. Thoughts will arise in waves. I need to answer that email. What am I going to have for dinner? This technique is nonsense. I'm wasting time. Let them all appear, acknowledge that they are there, and simply return your attention to the silence. It's not about conquering thoughts. It's about not letting them hijack you. In the first few minutes, your mind will scream. It will invent urgent situations, bring up random memories, create to-do lists, and do everything to get you out of there. This is absolutely normal. You've spent years training your mind to never stop, and now you're asking it to do the exact opposite. But here's the magic. If you persist, if you continue just observing without reacting, something extraordinary begins to happen. The thoughts begin to lose strength, the waves become less intense, and you begin to perceive the space between thoughts, the ma we talked about before. It is in this space that clarity lives. What would you discover about yourself if you actually did this for 15 minutes? Maybe you'd realize you're carrying an anxiety you didn't even know existed, just masked by the constant noise. Maybe you'd finally admit that that relationship isn't working, or that your job is destroying you from the inside. Silence doesn't create these truths. It just removes the layers of distraction that prevented you from seeing them. And yes, it will be uncomfortable, because deep truths usually are. But the question is, would you rather continue running from them, or finally have the courage to face them and do something about it? Why it works. The neuroscience of silence. You might think this is just beautiful Eastern philosophy, but modern science confirms every word. When you enter into deliberate silence, your brain activates something called the default mode network, a neural network that only functions fully when you're not focused on external tasks. It's in this state that your brain processes memories, integrates learning, and makes creative connections that seemed impossible before. Studies from Duke University have shown that 2 hours of daily silence promote neurogenesis in the hippocampus, literally creating new neurons in the region responsible for memory and emotional regulation. Your brain isn't resting in silence. It's rebuilding, reorganizing, and optimizing itself. Furthermore, silence drastically reduces cortisol levels, the stress hormone that is destroying your health without you realizing it. Every notification, every sudden stimulus, every abrupt transition between tasks triggers a microdose of cortisol in your system. Over the course of the day, this accumulates into a chronic overload that keeps you in a constant state of alert, as if you were fleeing from an invisible predator. Silence is the antidote. It signals to your nervous system that you are safe, that it can switch off survival mode. Research from the University of Pavia shows that even 2 minutes of silence can reduce heart rate and blood pressure more effectively than relaxing music. And here's the most striking fact. Silence restores your ability to sustain attention. We live in an era where the average attention span has fallen to less than 8 seconds, less than that of a goldfish. You can no longer read a long article, watch a movie without picking up your phone, or have a deep conversation without getting distracted. This isn't a character flaw. It's neurological damage caused by the constant fragmentation of your attention. Silence works like physical therapy for your brain. It rebuilds the neural pathways of deep concentration and strengthens the prefrontal cortex responsible for impulse control. Each session of silence is a strength training exercise for your mind. So tell me something. If your brain literally regenerates, creates new neurons, reduces stress, and regains focus in silence, why do you keep filling every free second with podcasts, videos, music, anything? The truth hurts, but it needs to be said. You're afraid. Afraid of what you'll find when the noise stops, afraid of repressed emotions, afraid of realizing that the life you've built isn't really the one you wanted. So you choose the noise because noise is safe, noise is familiar, noise keeps you numb. But every day you make that choice, you're literally sacrificing your brain health, trading regeneration for degeneration, clarity for confusion, potential for mediocrity. Modern application. Integrating technique into chaotic routine. I know what you're thinking. That's beautiful, but my life is chaotic. I have 1,000 responsibilities. I don't have time to sit in silence. So let's destroy that excuse now. The most powerful strategy is morning silence, waking up and, before touching your phone, spending 15 minutes in total silence. No checking emails, no news, no scrolling Instagram while still in bed. These first few minutes of the day set the tone for everything that comes after. You can start by reacting to the world, or you can start by connecting with yourself. The difference between these two paths is the difference between living your life or being lived by it. If 15 minutes at a time seems impossible at first, use the technique of micro-quiet breaks between tasks. Finished a meeting? 2 minutes of silence before the next one. Just finished lunch? 3 minutes of quiet, sitting before returning to work. Finished a project? 5 minutes of silent decompression. These micro breaks act as breathing points throughout the day, preventing you from entering that state of continuous overload where everything becomes a blur. They are the spaces of rest that you deliberately inject into a routine that tries to swallow you whole. Over time, you will realize that you make better decisions, become less reactive, and maintain mental clarity even in chaos. The nightly ritual of mental decompression is equally critical. Before bed, instead of scrolling through social media, until you fall asleep with your phone in your face, create 10 minutes of silence to process the day. Sit or lie down, turn off the lights, and simply let the entire day pass through your consciousness like a movie on replay. Without judging, without trying to fix anything, just observing. This process allows your brain to properly file memories, release accumulated tension, and prepare you for truly restorative sleep. People who do this report sleeping better and waking up with more energy than when they spent hours relaxing in front of screens. Now the question that really matters: do you genuinely not have 15 minutes a day? Or have you simply not prioritized something that doesn't get you likes, doesn't make you seem productive, doesn't generate external validation? You have time to scroll through 40 minutes of pointless reels, but you don't have 15 minutes to take care of your mind? The truth is, you always make time for what you truly value. If you're not making time for silence, it's because you still haven't understood or don't want to understand that you're choosing mental decline instead of regeneration. You're choosing to live on autopilot instead of waking up to your own life. The 3 levels of transformation. Through silence. Silence doesn't transform you all at once. It works in layers, like peeling an onion, where each layer reveals something deeper. The first level happens in the first few days of practice: immediate clarity and reduced anxiety. You notice that knot in your chest, that constant tension in your shoulders, that feeling of always being late begin to diminish. Your mind, which used to jump from thought to thought like a desperate monkey, begins to slow down. You can finish tasks without getting distracted every 2 minutes. You respond to messages with more intention. You feel present in your own life for the first time in years. The second level emerges after a few weeks of consistent practice: an explosive increase in mindfulness, creativity, and the ability to solve complex problems. That project that's been stuck for months suddenly has an obvious solution you couldn't see before. Ideas spring up out of nowhere while you're in silence, not because you're forcing them, but because you finally created space for them to appear. It's like clearing a clogged drain. When you remove the accumulated mental clutter, the water of creativity flows naturally again. Professionals who adopt this practice report that the best insights of their careers are born precisely in these moments of deliberate silence. The third level is the deepest and most frightening: radical self-awareness and alignment of purpose. After months of practice, you begin to see patterns in your life that have always been there, but you never had the courage to face. You realize you're in a relationship out of fear of loneliness, in a job for financial security that no longer justifies the slow death of your soul. Silence doesn't judge these discoveries. It simply reveals them with surgical clarity that forces you to decide: will you continue pretending not to see, or will you have the courage to realign your life with who you truly are? People at this stage often make radical changes. They change careers, end toxic relationships, reconnect with abandoned dreams. So here's the final question that will define everything. At what level of internal noise are you living right now? Are you in that superficial chaos where you can barely complete a thought? Or have you realized that there are deeper layers waiting to be explored? And more importantly, what version of yourself is on the other side of this silence you've been avoiding? Perhaps it's someone braver, more authentic, more aligned with your true purpose. Or perhaps it's someone you don't even recognize anymore because you've spent so much time being who others expected you to be. There's only one way to find out. Stop running, stop distracting yourself, and finally, have the courage to find yourself in the silence. So here's my challenge. For the next 7 days, practice 15 minutes of deliberate silence. No music, no podcasts, no guided meditation, just you and your mind. Then, tell me in the comments what you discovered. And if this video made you rethink your relationship with silence, leave a like and share it with someone who lives on autopilot. See you in the next video.